Hello and welcome back to Curiosity Mine, and welcome back as well to OPALWords, where we look at the terminology used in the Australian opal industry, particularly at Lightning Ridge in New South Wales. This time we're digging into a bit of inside baseball about opal dealing, with a few terms relating to the buying of a rough opal.
So one of the ways opal gets to us is in a bucket form. So you can buy a bucket of rough from a miner, which looks a bit like this, if they're lucky enough to find a bucket load, and then we're lucky enough to purchase it from them. So this is quite a big bucket, 12.5 kilos, and it's got some beautiful gem quality, what we call seam opal on the inside. And some of it the miner has actually cleaned up. We haven't gone through it properly yet. So the miners will rub it back and expose some of the colour to see what they've got, and then price it accordingly. So that's a bucket of rough. The next one is what we call a parcel of rough. Parcel can be a kilo, it could be 500 grams, it could be 2 kilos, but it's generally in a bag. And in here, this is knobby opal. And when you're buying rough opal or rubbed opal, which rubs are partially cut or partially cleaned up, and in a parcel form, you're looking for the king stone or the gun stone, as they say. So what that means is the piece that will make you your money back, or the profit, whichever comes first at the end of the day. This is a parcel I purchased today. It's mainly blue-green with lots of crystal, but there is some black. And so some of the king stones or gun stones in this particular parcel is this one. The miner has already rubbed it back, but this way I know that I've secured some money back already in these pieces that have been exposed. So that's a beautiful blue-green on black. Here you can see crystal opal. So this particular parcel has produced a mixture of black opal and crystal opal all in the one, which is not unusual, and also only if you're lucky enough. So that's what you're looking for when you know you'll cut your money, and then the rest is a bonus or profit, hopefully. But it can definitely go the other way.
So once an opal buyer has their hands on a bucket of rough opal or a parcel of opal, they'll grade it out. Grading means to sort it out by quality, your best pieces, your medium quality pieces, and your lower quality pieces, to figure out exactly what it is that you have. And then they will make some business decisions about it. Usually the best pieces will be rubbed or cut and sold at a premium, and the rest of the parcel, or the rest of the bucket of rough, will be sold on as potch and colour or lower grade rough. This is where a runner might come into it. A runner is someone who sells opal on behalf of someone else for a commission or a percentage of the sale price. I know this because I used to be one many years ago. I used to sell opal on behalf of my family's business, and as well for a few other opal dealers. A runner serves a few purposes. The most obvious is that by employing a runner, the opal dealer doesn't actually have to go out and personally sell their own opal. They forfeit a small percentage of the final sale price as commission to the runner, but they get their time back to do other things. Using a runner also gives the seller some anonymity, because the opal community is quite tight-knit, so it's inevitable that opal dealers often end up selling to other opal dealers, and if a runner maintains some confidentiality about their clients when they sell their opal, it'll be sold at face value, and any offers that might be made won't be biased one way or another because of who owns the opal. It also allows the buyer to be more honest about their opinion of the material they're looking at, because it's easier to talk frankly with an intermediary than it is to tell the owner of a product that it's overpriced or it's not the quality that they think it is. On the other side of the same coin, this also means that the owner of the opal gets better feedback from the runner about what other stakeholders in the industry actually think about their products and prices. It's a good system, and it works well, and it's worked well for a very long time. Using a good runner also means that your opal is backed up by the good reputation of the runner. Runners can sell a lot of opal on behalf of a lot of people, so it's in the runner's best interest to do all of the hard work building up a rapport with opal buyers and building up a network of contacts within the industry. A good runner will always have their ear to the ground and will know which buyers want which types of opal and who to see first to sell material efficiently. So a seller knows that they can tap into that resource by using a runner. And on the subject of runners, this is Brian Clerk, and he was kind of my grandfather. Brian was pretty famous around Lightning Ridge for being a bit of a mad lad, and also for being one of the most active and successful opal runners in Lightning Ridge history. He passed away in 1999, and he has a plaque dedicated to him at the entrance to the Lightning Ridge Historical Society's museum here in Marilla Street. He used to get about town in a 1980s Datsun Stanza Triple S, and I have some quite measurable regrets about not having kept that car. And he had some stories about selling opal. One of his favourites was the time that he sold the same bucket of opal 12 times to 12 different people for a 5% cut every time it sold. So he'd take it to an opal buyer. They'd buy it and they'd scoop out a few pieces that they thought were worth something, and then they'd hand the rest of the bucket back to him and tell him to sell it again on their behalf. And he'd take it to someone else and they'd do the same thing, and this would repeat over and over. A dozen times. In the end, he had literally taken it to everyone in Lightning Ridge who could speak and walk upright, and he was worried that he'd blow his cover if he accidentally took it back to someone that he'd already shown it to. So he ended up buying what was left in the bucket of opal himself and dumping it out in his driveway, and he still ended up making a profit from the 5% commission that he earned every time the bucket was sold. I'm sure there are plenty of stories like this from opal runners back in the 1990s. It was a really strong time for the Lightning Ridge economy, so local generosity was certainly running high. So that was Brian Clerk, my grandfather. So that's buckets of rough, parcels, gunstones, grading, and runners. Quite a few more additions to the Lightning Ridge dictionary that we're building here on OPALWords. Stay tuned for more because there's still a lot to come in this series. We will not be running out of strange terminology anytime soon. This video was made with the help of Down-to-Earth Opals at Lightning Ridge with special thanks to Vicki. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to Curiosity Mine on YouTube and following along on all of the usual social media channels. The links are in the description. And thank you for watching.